Hello everyone, this is Craig with Single Length School, and as you know, at Single Length School we're all about golfing smarter, not harder, to lower those scores and lower that handicap. So today's video is a special video. Normally on this day we release our That Golf Guy segments, but with the amazing news of this past weekend, I thought it was only appropriate that we actually take a look and discuss and congratulate Bryson DeChambeau on his win at the U.S. Open at Winged Foot. So first of all, let's start off by saying congrats, Bryson. You have really brought the idea of one length or single length irons to the forefront and really given them a reason to be tried and a reason to be tested. So in this video, I've had some questions come in from some subscribers, from some followers. So we're going to cover some questions. We're going to take a look at what Bryson uses, Bryson's win, and we're just going to talk about one length, single length, and how it can really help your game. So if you notice me looking down, I'm actually just going to look down at my notes throughout this video here and some of the questions that we had come in. But let's start off. Obviously, we said congrats to Bryson. But before we dive into this a little bit more, do me a favor, hit the subscribe button down below, hit the notifications bell right beside that, and then give me a follow on social media. On Facebook and Instagram, it's at Single Length School. Over on Twitter, it's at One Length School. And if you guys want to shoot me an email, singlelengthschool@gmail.com is the address. So back to the topic on hand. Bryson DeChambeau and what he just did at Winged Foot. Beating the field by 6 strokes. Everybody thought the winning score was going to be +5 or worse, and here he is at -6. Now, don't get me wrong. His driver was a big part of that. And what he did to his body in terms of bulking up, getting stronger, getting faster, this is a huge factor in his win. But you also got to factor in the single length or the one length irons that he's playing. The concept of one length irons is to have a consistent ball position, consistent swing path, consistent swing pattern, and create a consistent strike so that no matter what iron you're using in the bag, it's all going to have a better consistency, a better ball flight, and there's less chance of you slicing a particular club or hooking a particular club or having trouble hitting a certain club in your bag. That's the whole idea behind one length or single length irons. So if we take a look at what's in his bag, obviously he's got the driver, he's got some woods in there, but really we want to focus in on his irons and wedges because Single Length School, that's what we talk about, is the single length or one length iron concept. So in his bag, he's actually got the original Cobra forged one lengths, which were released at the same time as the F7s, which was Cobra's first intro out into the one length world. So Bryson's still playing that, even though Cobra's since come out with multiple versions of the forged one length iron. I play the Forged Tech Black one length, and they also have the new Cobra Forged Techs out. So Cobra's creating some new lines, but Bryson is still sticking with the tried and true and the original. It's got him 7 wins, and now it's got him a major. So those Cobra irons he has through 6 through 9 iron or pitching wedge, I believe, and then he's got custom wedges, not even from Cobra, from another company he's worked with, but they are, again, the same length as his irons, 37.5 inches, the standard 7 iron length. So that from his 5 iron the whole way through his wedges, he has one ball position, one setup, one swing. Doesn't matter what iron it is, but everything remains the same, eliminating the need to have 14 different swings across the bag. By eliminating 14 different swings and only having 5 or 6 to master, it's made the game a lot easier for him. And another thing I want to talk about is the rough at Winged Foot was not anything to laugh at. I mean, it was ridiculously long. And I saw a comment on Twitter which actually made a lot of sense once I saw it. Bryson was getting out of the rough pretty easily with his wedges. Someone mentioned that could it be because his wedges are longer than your standard variable length wedge out there on the market? Absolutely. He's able to create more speed with those wedges because they're longer. So yes, absolutely the wedges helped getting him out of that rough because they were longer and he was able to take a little bit more and get more power than what the other guys on the tour were able to do. So in terms of Bryson's thoughts, why does he play single length or one length irons? When did he do it? Well, he did it years ago before he was ever even known, way before he won the U.S. Amateur. Why? Because he's a science-minded guy. He understands physics, and if you can create one solid swing path, one ball position, and eliminate a lot of variables, you're able to be more consistent and hit the ball better across all your irons and create a consistent ball flight across all your irons. So for him, it was simple physics. Why add more gears into the mechanism when you only need to have one gear? And so for that simple fact, and this is something I toyed around with even before I knew who Bryson was. I was looking at creating all my irons one length and found a company about the same time he was winning the U.S. Amateur that actually manufactured them. And I bought my first set. At that point, I was a 20 or worse handicap. Over the last few years, I've gotten it down to single digits. Why? It's not because what's happening on the tee for me. It's not because what's happening on the greens for me. It's because my irons are so consistent. It's one setup, one swing, the whole way across the board. I know if I want to hit a draw with my 4-iron, it's the same way I hit a draw with my lob wedge. Exactly the same. If I know I have my standard setup with all my irons, I know exactly where they're going to fly. That's the beauty of one length or single length irons. So the next question, and this is coming in from some of the guys that subscribe to the channel and follow me on social media, but who are one length irons good for, or single length irons? Simply put, they're good for everybody. Now, listen, I understand, and I've heard from guys out there who have tried it, didn't like the concept, it didn't work for them, and they went back to variable length irons. I get it. When you've been playing irons a certain way for so long, and you're so used, and your body and brain are so used to having a different swing for each club in the bag because it's a different length, it's hard. You know the old saying, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. For some guys, that is the case. But for most people, you can actually improve your game if you make the commitment and go to the single length iron idea. Again, it just builds consistency. So your 4-iron, which may be your worst club in the bag in a variable length because it's so long and it's so far forward towards your front foot, you tend to top it or you slice it really bad. By jumping into a single length iron, 4-iron, putting the ball back in your stance where you would normally play your ball position for your 7-iron and using your 7-iron swing, now that 4-iron becomes more consistent, gives you a consistent ball flight, a better strike, a better overall performance from that 4-iron. And it's the same way. If guys struggle with a lob wedge because it's too short, well, now your lob wedge is the same length as your 7-iron. And it's the same ball position. And it's the same swing. And it's the same setup. So when you look at one length or single length irons and who it's for, it's great for anybody. It's great for beginners. And in fact, if somebody comes to me and says, hey, I want to begin golfing, what's the best set for me? I don't care about what price it is or what brand they want. My simple answer is you've got to buy a set of single length irons or one length irons, because right off the bat, you're going to make the game so much easier because you're going to have the majority of your clubs that you're going to use. It's the exact same setup and exact same ball position. For guys that have been playing for years, as I said, it's a great tool to get better. You know, I see things in forums all the time. Hey, I've been playing for 30 years. I shoot in the hundreds. Will single length or one length irons help me break 100? If you commit to them and actually take a couple weeks to learn them, yes. Because you've got to train your body and your brain to consistently understand the ball position and the swing is the same. And that's one of the hardest transitions for guys that have been playing variable lengths and playing golf for years and years and years, going to single length or one length, is getting through the mindset and getting your body to understand that even though it says and is stamped a 5-iron, it needs to be in that same ball position, and you need to use that exact same swing as your 7-iron. Same thing with lob wedge. There's nothing different. Everything becomes consistent. So it's great for everybody. And on top of that, you know, should kids play single length irons? Absolutely. Especially at that age, because they're trying to build mechanics and they're trying to learn the game and build a swing and build fundamentals. Why make it more difficult? You know, you look at most kid sets, and depending on the age group and what set you buy, it's anywhere from 5 or 6 clubs, upwards of 9, 10 clubs. Take, for instance, my daughter. She's got a set that has 10 clubs in it. Her golf bag has 10 clubs that goes out. She's got a driver, a 3-wood, a 7-wood. She's got a 5, 7, 9 pitching wedge, sand wedge, and a putter. So she's got a pretty decent bag. And she's had this similar setup for years. And it was killing me because I couldn't find her a set of single length or one length irons. I looked and I looked and I tried to contact different people and I just wasn't having luck. I was able to find some, and I found them. So if you're looking for Cobra Junior one length irons, I don't know if they're still available, but you can check out hurricanegolf.com. That's where I was able to get my daughter's one length irons. Now, if you want to go a different route, if you guys have watched the channel before and watched some of the previous videos, I did some reviews on the Pinhawk single length irons. The great thing with Pinhawk is they will customize the clubs for you. So if you reach out to the team up at Value Golf, reach out to them, say, hey, I would like to get my child a custom set of single length irons. I want a 5, a 7, a 9 pitching wedge, sand wedge, whatever it is. And tell them, listen, I need a kid shaft in there, or I need a shaft cut down to my kids. I'm sure Aaron and the team at Value Golf will gladly do that for you. Because honestly, guys, aside from landing the Cobras at Hurricane Golf and really contacting it and getting to know Aaron a little bit and the guys at Pinhawk and Value Golf, nobody else is making the junior sets. So if you want to get your kids into the single length or one length world, go get them now before it's too late. Like I said, give Value Golf and the guys at Pinhawk a shout out, or reach over, if Hurricane Golf still has them, pick up the Cobra Junior one lengths while they're still available. Now, that brings me back to another point, and a lot of questions I get is, where can I find single length or one length irons, and what's best for me, and what brand? So really, you've got some different options out there. There's some great options out there, and there's probably more than you think of. Most people automatically know Cobra because of Bryson, and it's going to become even more prevalent now that he's won the Open. But you've got Cobra, you've got Orlamar makes a set, you've got Pinhawk, as I mentioned, you've got Sterling irons, you've got Wishon, you've got One Iron Golf. There's a company called Maisel out there that you can find. There's sets by PGX, which is a custom club company. And then there's some on different clone sites, Diamond Tour Golf, Pareco. So there's probably about 10 or 12 options out there for you to really get a set of one length irons to try and test for yourself. What I'm going to do for you guys, I'm not saying there's one set that's better than the others. Obviously, and I forgot to mention, Edel Golf is out there. They're known for their putters, but they also do single length, one length irons. But I'm going to put some links down below. Those links are going to be to some different one length iron sets out there. If you guys want to check them out, use the links below. I'll get you over to an iron set that you guys can check out. There'll be all kinds of different prices, but there's some higher quality, and of course, what you would expect is a company like Cobra has more research and development into one length and single length irons. So some of their sets are going to be a little more expensive. Edel and Sterling and Wishon, again, they've been around for a while. They know their stuff. And And then, so we're talking you can spend anything between $2,000 for a set of one length or single length irons, the whole way down to a couple $100s. And honestly, if you're just coming into the one length or single length world, don't want to spend a lot of money, look around. You'll find some stuff out there. As I said, I'm going to put some links down below that you guys can check out. But take a look, give them a shot, and give them a good shot. Don't hit them for a week and say, oh, these don't work. Chances are you're just not doing something mentally. And that kind of segues into the next question I get a lot is lessons. Where do I go? The pro at my club doesn't teach one length or won't help teach with one length or single length irons. I get it. When I was going through this process, I got the door shut in my face a lot. So there's still a lot of coaches out there that are still going to want to teach traditional methods, traditional irons with the variable lengths. They don't want to touch the single length irons. Honestly, for those guys, it'd be stupid if they didn't, because all they have to do is teach a 7-iron setup. But they're so old school they won't. And that's not a knock on them, but when you've been doing something for so long, it's hard to change. Again, can't teach an old dog new tricks. But there's some places out there you can reach out to. The most notable name out there is going to be Mike Schy. And that's Bryson's coach from when he was a kid. I've had a couple conversations with Mike through some chats. Real nice guy, easy to reach out to. So if you're out in California, you can go check out Mike. In terms of some other things, obviously I put out some different tips and tricks with the one length and single length irons here on my channel. I will also give lessons. I can do so virtually. I can do so in person if you're local to the Pittsburgh area. But I'm more than happy to help out. And then I think over in the UK, there's another YouTuber by the name of Alex Elliott. He is very big into the one length irons as well. He will also give lessons and help out. So if you're overseas in the UK, you can always check out Alex as well. I'm sure he's more than willing to help. There's some other one length coaches out there. But those are the three I know off the top of my head. And by no means am I saying, I'm a PGA pro. I'm not. I never got my certification. And at this point in my life, I don't think I have or am in the position to go spend the money on it and spend that time away from my family to get my certification. But I will tell you, and if you guys have watched some of the series I've been doing with Zach from Muscular Style, we've got him 2 sessions in virtually. And I know he just sent me a text the other day. He went out, played around a couple weeks ago, really before we started lessons. He was up around 100, I think, for 18 holes. 2 lessons in, he went out last week, shot an 85. And it's just a couple tweaks, getting him into the right position, getting him to understand. So, I'm not tooting my own horn, but I can definitely help you guys if you want to get some lessons through me virtually. We can always do some Skype lessons, things like that. Again, if you're in California, I don't know if Mike does virtual lessons, but you can always reach out to Mike Schy, SCHY, or as I said, out in the UK, Alex Elliott. Those are kind of where I can see lessons right now. Moving forward, though, I think because of Brysons Exposure and what he's doing for single length and one length, I think you're going to see more coaches start to adapt and be willing to teach single length iron players. As I said, all they have to do is teach a single length or a 7-iron swing. So I think you're going to see more of that coming up and moving forward. Again, Chris Como, who's Bryson's on-tour swing coach, he's more than happy to, he's understanding and accepting of the one-length philosophy as well. So there's 4 names for you. Mike, Chris Como, Alex Elliott in the UK, and if you guys want, you can always reach out to me as well. Brings us to the next question, talking about a one-plane swing. So we're talking one-length or single-length irons. What about a one-plane swing? Do you have to have a one-plane swing with single-length irons? No, you don't. You can actually improve your game with your current swing just by switching to the single-length or the one-length iron concept. That's going to help you get more consistent and get better right off the bat. a one plane swing is going to be out in the forefront for the next few weeks because that's what Bryson uses. And when we're talking one plane swing, all we're talking is that at your setup and address, before you ever start your swing, your arms and the club head, they're all in a position that you're going to hit the ball in. So your arms are straight when you address the ball's where you're going to make contact, and the club head's right where you want to make contact. So from there, all you do is then start your backswing, but your arms are going to be straight, especially your front arm. So for right-handed golfers, your left arm's going to be the one that's straight. Your right arm's going to trail a little bit down behind. And if you guys want to take a look, I did a couple videos on some single plane swings over the last few weeks. Jump back, you can check those out and see what exactly I mean. Now, one plane swings are very positive for people that, regardless of what irons you're using, are struggling to make solid contact. Usually because, and this again goes to the same idea of the one length or single length irons, is because there's too many mechanics involved in your swing. So a lot of guys, and you'll see a lot of tour pros, they keep their arms straight down, the club's at an angle when they address the ball, and then they come back, and then on their downswing they start to straighten out, get those arms extended, and attack the ball at a different angle. So you've got your club on one plane before you take the club back, and then your club's coming in on a second plane when you come in. The idea of the one plane swing is just to eliminate the two plane method or the two plane model. Have your club ready to where you want to strike the ball, then start your swing and come back through, keeping the club on that same plane. That, yes, does help increase accuracy, does increase contact. Again, old dogs, new tricks. Some guys can't adapt to the single plane swing. Some guys can. If you can, it's definitely something to take a look at and try and get into. I myself have kind of developed a variation of a single plane swing. Been playing it for a few weeks, trying to get my game better as well. Now that some of the things I do over the summer are kind of winding down, the fall's kind of really where I get into my golf season. So I'm trying to get my game better so I can get out there. I've got my goals for next year. I want to play in some tournaments, but I'm not going to get there until I'm comfortable with my game. So, but the single plane swing, check it out if you guys want. Like I said, I've got some other videos. There's other guys out there, some other coaches that teach the single plane swing and teach it very well. So check them out. And I think the final thing we want to cover today, and one of the questions is the future of one length or single length irons. What do we see? Or where do I see it going? Well, I think to see where it's going, we've got to kind of look at the past a little bit. And we need to start way back in the 1920s with Bobby Jones. I think what goes unnoticed a lot, and maybe some of you know, maybe some of you don't, but when Bobby Jones went on and won the Grand Slam as an amateur, he won the U.S. Open, the British, the U.S. Am at that point, and the PGA, Bobby Jones was using irons that were all the same length. And it's kind of a little footnote in history, but Bobby Jones had a pretty swing, and he used single length irons. Now, you fast forward, and there are some other guys, really up until the 50s that did use the single length concept. But when steel shafts were introduced, manufacturers realized that, hey, I want the 4-iron to go a little bit longer. I'm going to make the club a little bit longer. That's where we got into the variable length. And from there on out, it really wasn't an idea or a concept. The single length, one length concept got phased out. In the 80s, Tommy Armour tried. They brought an iron set out. Didn't work well. Didn't go well. In the 90s, there were still some companies floating around, but couldn't really get any exposure. Come around into the 2000s, Bryson Wins the U.S. Amateur. Now, there's this idea, crazy as it sounds, but an idea that worked almost 100 years ago, coming back around, brought to the forefront by Bryson DeChambeau. hey, I'm going to make the game easier and play all my irons the same length. He goes on to win the U.S. Amateur. Signs with Cobra. Cobra makes them. At this point, there were already still some manufacturers making them. And like I said, I had already gotten my hands on a set before Cobra ever delivered the F7s. But then you start to see a little bit of progression. Thanks to the internet, you see a lot of these companies getting some more recognition that they deserve. So what do I see in the future? You know, I think I see the single length, one length idea continuing and actually growing stronger. And here's the reason why. People like you that are watching my video, people like me that are doing videos on single length or one length irons, Bryson's continued success on the PGA Tour, another major, a Hall of Fame, that's all going to factor into the success of single length or one length irons. But here's the big thing. I'm telling you, and I just told you 15 minutes ago in this video, that if you're getting a kid started in golf, I would highly recommend going to single length irons to make the game easier for them. As Bryson continues to grow the idea, people are going to realize that, hey, it makes sense and it's going to be a lot easier for me to score better and play better golf by using the single length irons or the one length iron concept. And the more people that adopt to the idea and the younger they do it at, you know, now you're going to start to see kids, like I said, my daughter's 8. I've got her in a set of one lengths. She's going to stay that way. I don't care if Cobra discontinues them. I don't care if I have to go to a club maker myself. She will stay in those for the rest of her career. I will not let her change because it's made the game so much better for her. I will never change. I'm not leaving one length or single length. And I think a lot of you guys that follow the channel, follow me on social media, I think you feel the same way as well. And the more this little niche group of us single length or one length iron players grows and gets more attention, you're going to start to see some more pros coming in from college and from high school and overseas that are adopting the single length and one length idea. And as that happens, now I'm not saying I see it anytime soon, but my guess is within the next 5 years that you're going to see another major manufacturer get into the one length or single length realm. Now, is it going to be TaylorMade? Is it going to be Titleist? Is it going to be Shrixon? Who knows? Could it be PXG? It could be. Who knows? It could happen faster if somebody comes to Bryson and says, hey, here's a bigger paycheck. Let's build you a set, and then we're going to sell them. And then you're going to have two, because I don't see Cobra getting rid of theirs. So it could happen faster, but I think in the next 5 years, you're going to see, you know, another 3-4 players on tour that are into the single length and one length idea. At that point, you're going to start to see another manufacturer or two get into it. Listen, if Bryson wins another 2-3 majors over the next 2-3 years, another manufacturer may cave. But I only see it growing. And hopefully, as that idea of single length and one length irons continues to grow, my channel continues to grow, and I'll be able to start focusing a little more in on the channel and give you guys even better content. But I think that's it. But before I go, I want to give one last shout out to Bryson. Congratulations on your win at the U.S. Open. I hope at some point the channel gets to a point where you give me a follow. We can, chat a little bit and share some ideas. 2025, the U.S. Open is at Oakmont, which is right in my backyard. I actually drove past it yesterday on my daughter's golf tournament. But, 2025, hey, let's get together and play a practice round, buddy. But guys, again, without Bryson, I guarantee you my channel wouldn't exist as it is. He was able to get some more eyes, and I jumped at the chance to share my thoughts and share with you what I've learned throughout learning single length and one length irons. But again, do me a favor. You want to check out some of the irons that are available out there. I've got the links down below. I'll put the name right above the link. if you guys do use the links below, I will let you know. They may look a little weird, but what they do is they help fund my channel. So anytime you use one of the links down below to buy a product, buy a set of irons, it doesn't cost you more. It just gives me a little bit of a kickback as a way of saying thanks for referring somebody. So, you know, anytime you guys see a link in the channel, please click it because you're going to help fund what I do, help me bring you guys better content and better things out there. And as we grow, we'll be able to provide more prizes, better giveaways, things like that. So, by all means, help the channel down below by clicking on one of the links. Another way you can help is if you haven't already, click the subscribe button down below. Hit the notifications bell right beside it. Give me a follow on Facebook and Instagram at Single Length School, over on Twitter at One Length School. Shoot me an email, singlelengthschool@gmail.com. And as always, guys, thank you for your time. I'm glad we actually finally got to have this congratulations chat for Bryson. And as always, keep it in the fairways, and I'll see you soon.